Today on CityCast Denver. My friend Keith Garcia is the only reason I'll watch movies. I never really cared about them before, but it's his job to get people to care about movies, and he's really good at it. He's the artistic director at the C Film Center and the founder of Cinema Q, which is Denver's annual queer film festival he's been putting on since 2006. And it starts tonight. Today is Thursday, August 26th, 2021. I'm Bree Davies, and this is CityCast Denver. Keith Garcia.
Bree Davies!
Keith Garcia, welcome to CityCast Denver.
Thank you for having me. I am so excited.
I'm excited to talk to you today, too, because I love the work that you do at the Film Center.
Well, thank you very much.
So this weekend, starting tonight, your film festival, Cinema Q, is going to be showing 12 queer films, mostly virtually. And these films are all different kinds of genres. There's documentaries, narrative films, and older movies that have been restored and re-released. So, Keith, what really makes a film queer?
One of the things that it used to be that what we were really looking for was, well, is the content queer? Like, are we watching a story, a documentary, etc., about a queer person or queer people and their relationship, and what is the focus there? Which it over the years kind of seemed more like it was very much a niche for specifically queer people. Like, if you weren't queer, what interest would you have in watching a queer love story, etc.? Now that queer has kind of really permeated the zeitgeist in a good way, that it's more inviting to folks who don't register as queer. But one of the other things that, especially in the last couple of years, has become more prominent in determining a queer film is also who is creating the content. I mean, I think on a mainstream scale, I can say the biggest example of that is the Wachowskis, who, of course, created the Matrix trilogy, yes. And they have a fourth film coming out this Christmas. Over the course of their career, both the Wachowskis transitioned and became more notably known as the Wachowski sisters, and their films in turn changed over the years based on the notion that suddenly we were like, okay, well, we thought we were looking at before. Everyone enjoyed the Matrix movies for the sci-fi spectacle that they were, but under a new queer lens of where they were coming from, you started to understand, like, okay, this is actually very interesting tales about change, transition. There's a lot of queerness. There's a lot of social issues to talk about underneath it all, which I think is the greatest miracle for filmmaking, is when you can create a piece of film art, and by doing nothing more than just existing as the creator, you've changed. You've given longevity to that project for decades to come. I mean, people were still going to talk about The Matrix for one reason or another, but now there's so much more to talk about it.
We're inside a computer program?
Is it really so hard to believe? Your clothes are different, the plugs in your arms and head are gone. Your hair has changed. Your appearance now is what we call residual self-image. It is the mental projection of your digital self.
This isn't real.
What is real? How do you define real?
So this year's Cinema Q, can you talk about, a couple of films that you're looking forward to sharing with the community?
Well, there is our opening night film, which is our one in-person, but also for accessibility reasons, if you are still nervous about coming out to a movie theater, etc. It is available on our virtual platform for a limited window on Thursday night. But that film is My Name is Polly Murray. It's a documentary that comes just from the filmmakers behind the RBG, the Ruth Bader Ginsburg documentary from just a couple of years ago that was really great. My Name is Polly Murray is a prime example of fantastic queer film, and that it's a documentary about Polly Murray, who is Black, was non-binary, was a lawyer, and an activist. And all those things, they really had a lot of underlying inspiration for a lot of other people that pushed a lot of other people, a lot of social issues forward while they kind of stayed behind to do the work, but not get any of the recognition until now. And that's the point of this documentary, is to say, hey, here's a person that really we need to know about. And it's a fantastic documentary for that alone.
Give me a song of hope and a world where I can sing it. Give me a song of faith and a people to believe in it. Give me a song of kindliness and a country where I can live it.
What other films would you recommend over the weekend?
We've got a wide scope. If documentary is your thing, we have a good chunk of documentaries. One of my favorites is No Straight Lines, which is a documentary about the sort of origin of sorts, but just the boom of queer comics. This goes back to the 70s, and these are indie comics. This isn't necessarily like DC, Marvel, things like that, although they came out of a lot of inspiration from those comics. But one of the main subjects and first projects was this character named the Brown Bomber, who essentially became the first Black out gay superhero, and just did it very independent, but inspired so many other queer artists to create characters of their own. But the documentary focuses on the lives and hopes and dreams of at least 5 of these historic queer artists.
From the very first time I saw an image of the Brown Bomber and Diva of the World, I was just like, who is that? Who are these characters? I love them.
So that's one great documentary you can dive into amongst a few. If you're looking more for a narrative film, there's a great film called Jump Darling, which is notable for many reasons. One of them is it is Cloris Leachman's final film role that she filmed. Cloris Leachman passed away, I believe, either early this year or late last year. But it's the story of a young man who is kind of lost and goes to visit his grandmother, who he kind of shares a kindred spirit with. And there's a lot about his beginning of life as an out person and trying to find his place in the queer world, and then her end of life, which is another facet of this film, and sort of the notion of when do we start living and when do we stop. And that goes beyond a lot of queer themes to really just kind of be a really fantastic drama.
Where are you gonna go? Hello? Hi, Grams.
Russell.
You know, it's really interesting to me that you've been doing this since 2006. Like, that's a lot of time. Things have changed. I mean, not like, oh, magically it's okay to be queer and out in the world, but it definitely still is a different environment in 2021, I think, in a wonderful way.
Absolutely. There isn't the feeling of... There isn't the heavy feeling, which we have had, like, over the course of doing Cinema Q. I can say in 2006, it was easy to put it together. It was easy to find an audience. It was hard to notice sort of the blocked obstacles along the way as well from folks who were just like, who weren't queer, who were disagreeing with it, to be able to show films about queer marriage before queer marriage was legal or even civil unions, which we did first here. And yes, come 2021, I feel like that understanding is the best it's ever been, but yet there is still so much to do and so many facets to point out. And when I'm selecting films, it's not always just like, okay, how is this, can I find a film for our gay audience, our lesbian audience, our trans audience, our bisexual audience, our
Yeah.
non-binary, like it's no, I'm finding the best films for people to watch that represents all these finer aspects of the communities, but also leaves room for folks to explore things beyond that.
Why is it important for you personally to showcase and share queer cinema with the community?
Because, queer film is what helped me sort of figure out who I was and come out over the years. And, like, I would watch movies and have that feeling where I'm like, this feels gay. Even if it wasn't directly being like, this is a tale of a man who loves another man. Watching Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. Because it's a coming out tale about a teenager who feels he's possessed by something inside of him that wants to come out. People could get that subtext, and it was a little bit hurtful at that time because it was telling you repress, repress, repress. But that was even that conversation piece at all. And watching that film when I would have been 8 years old or so when Part 2 came out. And I just loved Freddy Krueger. So that was my main goal. But then you leave that film, and 8-year-old me, who I was having thoughts. I was a part of like my, gestating identity. Just didn't have all the words for it. I definitely knew that there was I put a bookmark in Nightmare on Elm Street 2 because I was like, that made me feel ways about something, and I don't know what it is. And so years later, when I could really read film a lot better, it made so much sense that it was just like, that's what I was addressing too. But queer film has definitely expanded my horizon of how the best ways to showcase humanity.
Keith Garcia, thanks for joining me today.
It was my damn pleasure, Bree. So excited to be on your show.
Here's what else is happening in Denver this weekend. Our event at the Underground Music Showcase. Friday night at 6 p.m. at Mutiny Information Cafe. I'm going to be there. Producer Paul Caroli's going to be there. Newsletter writer Peyton Garcia will be there. And our producer, Exandra McMahon, is going to be there too. And Exandra's here with me right now to preview the event. Hey, Exandra, what are we doing Friday?
Hey, Bree. Yeah, we're going to be having a panel at Mutiny Information Cafe with 3 very important people in Denver's music scene. And we're going to be talking all about diversity in Denver's music scene, what that means, both on stage, off stage, on the booking side. And I know, we picked these panelists together, but these people were, people that you have relationships with, Bree. So do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. Well, they were just folks that I thought about who immediately came to mind in terms of doing work in the community, talking about diversity, equity, inclusion, and actually existing in this world and what that really means for them. So we have Bruce Trujillo, who works for Swallow Hill. You may know her from Indie 102.3. She also hosts Colorful Colorado Collaborations, which is musicians of color, business owners of color coming together, doing events. We have Wes Watkins, who's a multi-instrumentalist, band leader, singer, has traveled all over the world as a musician. You can also see him busking on 16th Street Mall. He grew up here in Denver. He's got a really interesting view of the music scene. And then Miguel Avina from Izcali, who's multilingual and has done a lot of work in the Spanish rock world as well as sort of the indie rock world. And we're going to kind of talk about those, why they're separated, or sort of what diversity, equity, and inclusion looks like in a music scene from the stage as well as behind the scenes, people that book shows, people that run venues. And I think it's especially important for the Underground Music Showcase in this context because this year the lineup is much more diverse. And so
Right.
how does that
Yeah.
translate? What does that mean for the artists themselves?
Yeah, I think it was Bruce who may have mentioned this when she was on the show a couple weeks ago. Just again, talking about the state of Denver's music scene as we slowly emerge from the pandemic. We're not done with it yet. But she was saying that this year's UMS lineup, I think historically, is like one of the most diverse that it ever has been. Which, how long has UMS been around, Brie?
Oh my gosh. A decade and a half?
20 years?
Yeah, maybe 2
Yeah.
decades. It's a long time running. It's a long running festival.
For this to be the year where the lineup is really finally maybe reflecting a more diverse community, it's a big deal.
Yeah, I agree. Is there anybody that you are... So outside of our event, obviously, this is a 3-day long music festival, multiple venues, inside and out, all along South Broadway, local musicians, national musicians, international musicians. Alexandra, who are you looking forward to seeing?
Oh, I just get really excited to see the local bands play, because that's, like you said, there are national acts that come through. And I think in the last few years, UMS has tried to get some of those bigger names. But I think it's such a great showcase of the talent we have right here in Denver. So I'm really excited to see Naoma, who's this amazing musician from Ecuador. She moved to Denver a few years ago. They do like very like soft rock, kind of like indie, dreamy. It's just like always a fun time to watch her perform. And then I'm also a big fan of Yasi, who's this Persian musician, and she has like very fun like party jams. But also like slower stuff, like, or just deeper stuff, like Issues was a song that came out a couple years ago that like I love that song. So I'm excited to see both of them perform. What about you, Brie?
Kayla Marquis. I love everything she does. She's been doing collaborative work with the Grand Alliance this year, but I've been following her for so long. Again, another one of our sort of pop indie crossovers. She does a little bit of everything. Gorgeous voice, just such a great, and she just is such a great presence in our music community. And I just have loved watching her work. So getting to see her on a big stage is always fun.
Right. So don't forget, reminder, Friday night, 6 p.m., Mutiny Information Cafe. Come see the whole crew.
We're part of the Underground Music Showcase, but you don't have to have a ticket to come to our event. You can just walk into Mutiny Information Cafe, and we would love to see you.
Absolutely. All ages. Bring a mask, because it is inside, and we're trying to be safe about this. But, anybody, don't have to have a ticket, wandering off the street. We would love to see you.
And we might have some fun stuff for you. I know we've got some stickers, some CityCast swag that we're hoping to hand out. And if you don't already have enough fun things to do this weekend, Sunday is the La Raza Park Day and Cruise. I went a couple of years ago and it was super fun. This year, the cruise will all take place on the north side, starting at Berkeley Park at 1 p.m. and ending with a big party at La Raza Park. There will be live DJs, Aztec dancers, food, and lowriders all around the park, so you can walk around and see everybody's cool car. This event is free and open to the whole family, and to me, it's such a great celebration of Denver's cruising culture, and it's a wonderful way to support and connect with our Chicano community. That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. If you enjoyed the show, why not take a minute to tell a friend about us, rate the show wherever you get your podcasts, and subscribe to our morning newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. See ya! Anyway, back to our actual matter at hand.